Hey guys, today we're going to be working on factoring quadratics again. We're still going to be using the box method. So today is just, we're not doing anything new. I'm just going to show you a couple more examples so that you guys get a little better handle on what we're working on. So for this first example, remember the first thing that you always want to do, we want to think about these in terms of ax squared, or in this case, a times v squared times plus b times v. Plus c. So remember ax squared plus bx plus c. That's what we work with, and we need to figure out a, b, and c. A in this case is 1, b is negative 12. That's the thing we multiply by the middle. And then in this case, c is 27. Remember that the next thing that you want to do, we want to take a times c and make a table out of it. So a times c. In this case, a times c, 1 times 27 is 27. So we're going to try to figure out the factors of 27. So that would be like 1 times 27 works. That's one way to do it. Or 3 times 9. Now, are any of these going to add up to b? We got to find the ones that add up to b. So in this case, 3 and 9 kind of do. Like 3 plus 9 is 12, but it's not negative 12. So these aren't going to work. We're actually going to want to use negative 3 and negative 9. So what's negative 3 times negative 9? Well, negative times negative is still positive 27, and negative 3 plus negative 9 is negative 12. Those are the two things that you're going to want to use. So we're going to make our table. We're going to make this box now. This is called the box method for a reason. So we make the box. We got to put stuff in it, right? We're doing this one-handed. So remember the thing that goes here is always the ax squared. This time it's the 1v squared. We got to make sure that we use the right variable. In these two boxes, we put the negative 3 and the negative 9. Remember, you always have to also put the variable back into those two boxes as well. And in this bottom right, you always just want to put c. So that 27, that goes there. Something that you might notice, if you add up all of these terms, we're going to get this original equation again. So the 1v squared goes there. Negative 3 and negative 9v add up to negative 12v. That's the middle bit. And the 27 is the end. So this all adds up to that. That's important to notice. And now we have to figure out what multiplies together to get this. So first of all, to get the 1v squared, how could we break that down? Well, one way to do that is 1v times 1v. If this works, that means that 1v has to go in here and 1v has to go in there. They both do, which is good. So 1v times what number would give you negative 3v? Well, that number would be negative 3. And 1v times what number is negative 9v? Well, that's negative 9, right? 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. The v is right there. And then negative 9 times negative 3 is positive 27. So those factors work on the sides. That means that our answer is 1v minus 3 times 1v minus 9. Parentheses. So we got an answer for that one. How about we move on to the second one? So in this case, a is 2, b is 13, and c is 27. It's got a couple bigger numbers here. So remember, we got to make our table. And on the top, we put a times c. So in this case, 2 times 27. Well, that is going to be 54. Now we got to figure out what multiplies together to get 54. So we could do 1 times 54, 2 times 27, 3 times 18. Let's see. 6 times 9, and if we're noticing, we got to have things that add up to b. Well, that would be 6 and 9. So 6 plus 9 is 13. 6 times 9 is 27. Those are going to be the things we want to work with when we make our box. Next thing we do, we make the box, of course. Oop, I went a little bit long. That's fine. So the top left, that is always that first term, the 2n squared. 2n squared. Bottom right, that's always c, 27. And then I take those two numbers and I put them in here and here. So 6 and 9. And what's missing from those? Well, we got to put the variable back, n and n. Those add up to the middle term. So this all works out. So the next thing that we have to do is find the things on the side that multiply together to get the inside. So here, to get the 2n squared, I know I'm going to have an n times an n, because n times n is n squared. We got to have that. And to get a 2, that would be 1 times 2. It's really the only way it breaks down. And so I got to figure out, does the 2 go here or here? Well, I know the 2 has to go here on the left, and the 1 has to go there. Now, why do I know that? So in this case, I know that because 2 multiplies into 6, but 2 does not go into 9. So if I put the 2 here, 2 times something has to equal 9. That wouldn't really work out that well, right? So here I can have a 3, 2n times 3 is 3n, and here I can put a 9 on the side. 1n times 9 is 9n, so everything multiplies in nicely. And again, 3 times 9, 27. That's great. So that means I have my factors, 1n plus 3 and 2n plus 9. That is going to be my answer, because that's the side. 1n plus 3, that's one side, and 2n and a positive 9, that's the other side. So that's what we got. All right, now we got to rip that page off. Give me a second. Oh. All right, next one up. Let's do some stuff that's a little bit weirder. So in this case, we have 9x minus 4. There should be something, you guys should all kind of think this is a little bit different than the ones we've been working with. So we got to think about something's missing here, right? There's no middle term. So I'm going to rewrite this actually, 9x squared plus, so do you see, or hopefully you can see, the middle term in this problem, that plus bx is missing. There's some number at the end, the plus 4, that's at the end. But in the middle, there's nothing. Plus negative 4, sorry, it's a negative. But there's nothing in the middle. So we can fill that in with a 0x, right? Because if something isn't there, 0 of that also works. 0 times x is 0. So that would work. So we can fill that in. So that means that when I make my table, I'm going to have 9 times negative 4. Well, that's negative 36. So when I make my table, I'm going to have the two numbers have to add up to 0, which is kind of weird. But in this case, we can do negative 1 times 36, negative 2 times 18, negative 3 times 12, there we go, and negative 6 times positive 6. Now, I'm going to look through these. There are other ways to combine stuff. You can move the negatives around. But there is an example where two numbers add up to 0, and it's actually the negative 6 and positive 6. Negative 6 times positive 6 gives you that negative 36. Negative 6 plus 6, 0. So that works out. So I can make my box again. Lines through it. First term goes up here. So we have 9x squared. Last term goes down here, negative 4. And I take these two numbers, negative 6 and positive 6, and I put the variable back onto them. So that's what we're going to work with. So the next thing that we have to do, break this down. I know that one way to do this would be 3x times 3x. And luckily 3 does go into 6 and negative 6, so that works too. And so the next thing, 3x times what number is 6x? Well, that number would be 2. And 3x times what number is negative 6x? Well, that number would be negative 2, right? And finally, negative 2 times positive 2, that would be negative 4. So we have that. So that means that our answer is 3x minus 2, parentheses, times 3x plus 2, parentheses. And there it is. So didn't get to the last one, that's okay. But good luck on your homework. If you guys have any questions, please come to my office hours to ask. And have a good day, guys.